Hello and welcome to Beacon Space. I'm your host, Witchmaster98. Let's go ahead and switch the view over, and we can have webcam today because it's a faction stream day. So welcome everyone, welcome. If you're new here and don't know what's going on, this is Beacon Space, part of the unrestricted Lorefare games that we are running. This is the faction term. And welcome on in. Yeah, so the faction turn is a variation of the Stars Without Numbers faction turn that uses rules designed for a GM background story game that we've adapted into a multiplayer game. And it's being played out by people on the faction turn, and we get together once a month here to run the rules with I as your GM, and we have to roll some dice and make some magic happen. So speaking of rolling dice and processing turn orders, let's go ahead and change on over to the spreadsheet. And oh, webcam, you can be on. Thank you. So with that, yeah, we should have a pretty fun faction turn planned for today. The very first thing to go over is the resolution of the previous TTGI, or Tellus Terraforming Group vote, where we need to go over the last month's question that was posed to the factions. So the factions were asked which portion of the which tag they would wish to put onto the planet of Tellus, in needing to reach 50% support for one of the four choices. Those four choices, for a reminder to the audience, were Seagoing Cities, Trade Hub, Altered Humanity, and Psionics Academy, which would be a bleed-focused academy for our fiction. No result got 50% more or more support, so no vote got 5 options. So this question will come up again for a future chair to decide to potentially put forward again. The results, however, are Seagoing Cities has 4 votes, Trade Hub has 2 votes, Altered Humanity has 0 votes, and Psionics Academy has 1 vote. Now, you may notice that that only sums up to 7 votes. 2 factions chose to abstain from this vote and picked none of the options. So that is why the numbers don't add up quite to 9, because 2 people picked no option to support. So that means Altered Humanity will be dropped for the future version of this question, and the other 3 options, Seagoing Cities, Trade Hub, and Psionics Academy, will be an option for future chairs. And yeah, I'll get the question and the results posted in the Discord shortly after the stream ends, so that there's a text version of this record available. And again, you're not just trying to find the 3 minutes of which I've read out numbers and statistics out loud, which is not the best way to understand this information sometimes. With that said, I do have chat, by the way, in a different position today. I'm trying out a new setup. So if you notice me looking left and right, I have set up a screen to my left now where I have chat and I'm monitoring the stream on. And I'm used to it being on the other side of the screen. So if it takes me a moment longer than normal to respond to your question, that is why, or any concern. So, but I should be keeping an eye on it. With that said, let's go ahead and get started with our faction turn today, where we'll be starting off with the faction of the Aguamala Syndicate, who earned the lucky right of going first in this turn. Let's go ahead and copy over their very easy, but yet very powerful turn into this sheet, where they are going to be taking no goal. They'll receive their 5 factory credits of income, and then they're going to go buy an Informer's asset on their homeworld of Nueva Cuauhtémoc. So let's go give them their income and then immediately charge them for their purchase. So the Aguamala Syndicate currently have a balance of 3 with an income of 5, so they go up to 8. The Informer's asset costs 2. We'll verify that in a second, but that'll bring their balance down to 6. If we go take a look at the asset and XP tables, we can find the Informer's asset as a Cunning level 1 asset with a cost of 2. That is all correct. So we'll head back over to the asset tracker and try to add in Agumalo Syndicate's new purchased asset. Nobody has, okay, that can be cleared off when we get to it. So this will be informers. And I need to drag down the autofill. Yes. Looks like conditional formatting has broken, but I will fix that later. And this is going on Nueva Cuauhtemoc. Great. That is their new informers asset then. All purchased and assigned. And that wraps up their turn. As I said, a very easy turn to start us off, but perfectly fine. Second today is the Tohora Fai, who are going to have a little bit of a longer turn for us, but that's all right. They're going to be taking the exploration goal and action. We will go start with that, and then we have some movement to take care of, and then they will explore. So we'll go through this one at a time, even though I've posted their entire turn in. It's just easier to do it that way. So let's go start with the Tohora Fai and give them their income of 4 faction credits, bringing them up to a total of 9. And then they have some movement to take care of, so let's go take a look at the map, which, if you missed it from last month, is functioning again on some custom hardware. There was a short downtime this month due to a power outage at the server location for a few hours, but other than that, it was totally fine and restarted nicely for us. So let's take a look at the movements they want to make. So they want to activate a movement right now from a strike fleet that is right here on Puluhan, the recently renamed planet in the Nusantara sector. And they're going to be moving one of these strike fleets to the hex of 0408, so right up here, which is a valid move. They're going to be moving another one of these to 0310. And they're going to be moving this final strike fleet into the point of interest right here at 210. Now, one of these does have 6 HP, and I will specify where to move that one explicitly, so we'll need to make sure we move the right ones. All of these moves cost 1 faction credit by default for activating the strike fleet, and then moving into a point of interest increases the cost by 1. So that brings the total cost of this action, of these 3 movements, excuse me, to 6 faction credits, leaving them with a balance of 3. Now let's go move them. So Tohora Faiz, and let's find the 6 HP and move that one first so that I make sure it goes to the correct location. It is going to the 0310 point of interest. And then this strike fleet with 8 on planet H will move to 0408 point of interest, and this final strike fleet that has 8 faction credits will move to 0210 point of interest. So that takes care of those movements. And then they are going to be taking the explore action after doing all those free actions to explore the point of interest that is in the 210 hex with their strike fleet, and they will be choosing to succeed at cost if needed. The roll for this is going to be a 1d10 plus 4, as the strike fleet is a force asset, and Tohora Fai's attribute in force is 4. And the 210 hex is 1 hex away from an explored system, so the difficulty of this roll is just 10. So let's go ahead and make this roll for them, where they have done exceedingly well, and we're starting off today with a great start. I've used up the nice crits on the first roll. So that makes them roll a 14, so that is a success. So let's go record that for them before we see what is in this planet. The result is a 10 plus 4, which is 14. Success. Okay, now to make a planet, we need to roll, or to make a hex, excuse me, we need to roll a d6, where we find we have rolled a 4, and I'll pull up the exploration rules just to go over these again. So a 4 results in 2 planets in this hex. So let's make our first planet roll. Oh, that's right, the webcam is in a bad spot for the rolls. 1 second, let me move it. I will go to the other side of the screen. Uh, as honestly, I'm sure I'm going to cover something, but I think the top left is fine to cover, and I'll just move my talking bubble over here. Okay, so there are the rolls. Sorry about that. Forgot about webcam placements. Thank you. But it is a 14. And then the d6 rolled a 4, so that is 2 planets. So let's roll the first planet in. So here's the first planet. I will read it out in just a second, but I'm going to go ahead and roll the second planet and then do the tag thing where we move I move this over to another tab so that I'm able to type it into the faction tracker and read it out loud consistently rather than having to switch tabs and create a dizzying experience for the stream. So if we insert one below, and yes, I know I'm making changes to 10. This is currently called System X. So the first planet, I was smart. I have a note on what the next planet letter should be. It should be planet T. Is planet T here has the mechanics tag of starship assets built on this world cost 1 less, with a population size of outpost. It is a TL4 planet with a corrosive atmosphere and a warm temperature, along with an engineered biosphere. It has the planet tags of Police State and Area 51. And the ruin roll was a 7, so no ruin discovered on this planet. The next planet is planet U. Let's go ahead and cross those off from our list, which contains a tag of cunning assets owned by the planetary government controller. Deal 1 additional damage on a successful attack and counterattack damage rolls made on this planet. It has a tens of millions population with a TL3 technology level, an invasive atmosphere, along with a variable cold temperature and a hybrid biosphere, with the tags of Preceptor Archive and Zombies. And again, the result here for the Ruins roll was also a 7, so no ruin discovered on this planet. So let's go move the asset that is in this system that is now floating on to planet T, as that's the first planet discovered here. And that finishes up the exploration bit of their turn. Now, the Tohora Fai are going to take advantage of some new rules with the revised charts action to create a constellation they're going to call Fai Space. And they've given me a list of hexes to include. So we'll go over those hexes one by one to verify that the conditions are met. And then I have created a constellations page in this spreadsheet where we will have their constellation of Y space at the moment for the Tohora Fai. And I have also got it to automatically calculate the bonus. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of the hexes real quick that are in their list, and then we'll go through them on the map. And I'm going to hopefully try refreshing the page after the assets have been moved, and we'll see if the if the Google service has updated so we can see the new locations of assets, as that will be important for these map modifications. If not, we know where things should have moved to based on the notes. So as a quick reminder, in order to make a constellation, you must have 2 hexes that are filled, which just indicates that the hex contains a planet. It isn't just sort of empty space. You can contain an empty number of hexes up to the total number of filled hexes. You have to contain at least one planet where you're a planetary governor. You can't contain seize planets of other factions without contesting in some cunning versus cunning role. And then an asset or base of influence is required in every hex to form the constellation. And the constellations convey a bonus to rolls to modify planets within them. So, Tahora desired constellation is in this region of space, where they're going to be starting off with 0609, their hex right here, so they do have a base of influence. Let me try reloading the page real quick and see if assets have moved. Perhaps they have. Nice, they have. Yay for quick updates. So this hex is fine. Now to make the connection to the next planet, they're taking in 0508, which is totally acceptable. And then they are picking up 0509, which will be fine by the end of this math. Then they're taking up 510 as well. So this has a planet where they have a base of influence, so we're good on these 4 hexes. Then they're taking in 0408 right here. Also good, they have an asset in that hex, where they're then picking up 0409 and 04010. And then finally, they're picking up these 3 hexes right here of 0309, 0210, and 0310. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 6 hexes that contain a planet, at least one planet. Point of interest counts as containing a planet because they are guaranteed to contain a planet. And then these 4 hexes right here, which is less than the number of occupied hexes, are empty space that is in as a part of this sector or constellation. So this constellation is valid, and I have on my list of things to do. I would like the ability to, from the constellation page, export the data in a way that the website is able to read it, and perhaps have a toggle where constellations are highlighted, perhaps with a different background color. Can't make any promises. That is a desire I have. I am not by any means a JavaScript developer, so it may or may not happen. And it definitely won't happen over this month, as I know I have other obligations and won't have enough free time to investigate this sort of overlay. If you want to, the code for the website is public in a repository that is hosted by Numbers. And you are a JavaScript developer and you like to contribute that, I'll by all means review your code and test it, so we're able to potentially roll those changes out. But for this moment, we'll just have to deal with perhaps static images that I'm sure lovely people on the Discord community will create to show us where these constellations exist in space. And of course, we always have, at the end of the day, we have this fallback of having this just list of hexes that are part of the constellation. It seems as if, though, this number is not right. Because the bonus they should have calculated is 4. So I will need to figure out why that is. I bet I know why. I bet this formula doesn't account for the systems that have multiple planets, because it's just using a range check, and so that check is, for like the planet of Puluhan here, is checking 3 times when including this hex, when in fact it shouldn't be. So I have, let me make a note that this is wrong. This is currently wrong. This is what I get for apparently not providing all edge cases in my testing. It should be +4. I will determine a fix for that afterwards. I just need to make this range needs to become unique. That should be the only change. Shouldn't be too hard. I'll just have to figure it out. And I am not going to make modifications to the sheet live on stream that involve formulas. That sounds like a way to easily mess something up even more than it currently is. So that said, now that they have their constellation, they would like to discover moons on the planet of Puluhan. So that'll be a 1d10 plus the constellation bonus of 4 against a difficulty of 8, which we can check and show off right here for Discover Moons. And I have been told that they would like to reveal the 1d4 moons rather than establishing that there are 0. So let's go ahead and take care of that roll with a 1d10 plus 4 with a result of 9 that does beat the DC. So let's go ahead and see how many moons there are. And there are a total of 3 moons discovered in orbit around the planet of Puluhan. Okay, so let's make that note. This typo should be 1d4 moons. Result 5 plus 4 equals 9. Success 3 moons. And let's head over to sector objects where we will add. Let's drag this down 3 times and we will have 3 moons. Now we'll need some names for these moons, and I'm willing to let the faction that sort of discovers any of these things provide names rather than just using some list of random names. So for the moment, we're going to call it Puluhan 1, Puluhan 2, and Puluhan 3. And those didn't copyright. Perfect. So these are just indicating orbiting bodies of the planet of Puluhan. I'm sure the Tahorify will have some wonderful names to provide in the next couple of months. I will have set up to roll for occupied and situations in the future for things that have it, but the Stars of the Numbers book does not actually provide default things for the moons, as you can see from the ones up above. So there would be no additional rolls for these revealing these 3 orbiting bodies. Finally, to finish off the Tahorify turn, they did complete their exploration goal, and so we will give them their 2 experience, bringing it up to a total of 9. And that takes care of the Tahorify's entire turn. Took a little bit of time to get through, but there were several new rules that we were going over, and I wanted to make sure to take the time to fully go over them on stream and verify that things were in fact right. And then make sure we're following the dice roll to reveal all of these new things correctly. So with that said, we'll move on to the third faction in our faction turn today, which is the Assembled Commonwealth, who are going to be taking the Thief Planet goal, which will complete this turn. And then they will also be receiving their income, and then they will take the Seed Planet action as well. But before they do so, they will be activating a movement asset. So let's go give them their money, taking their balance of 13 up to 19, gaining 6 faction credits. They're then going to activate a covert shipping asset that is on Mankiraniti right here to move the commodities broker that is on planet N over here in the distance to planet D. So that is a valid move for this covert shipping, as it can move special forces assets, and the commodities broker is a special forces asset type. Let's go make that movement for the Assembled Commonwealth. Now they have several. Okay, here's the one on planet N, so this is going to move to planet D. And that costs a total of 1 faction credit for the activation. So let's go charge them that, leaving them at the moment with 18 faction credits. They're then going to start the Seize of Planet D, and through the magic of editing, I'm just going to replace that, as the Seize for Planet N completes immediately after this, gaining them their 1 experience of 7. And then they take over control of Planet N's planetary governor, which we'll find right here and assign to the Assembled Commonwealth, who are, at this point, lovingly able to provide a new planet name, as well as a system name for System LII, or 52. So that wraps up the assembled Commonwealth's turn. We completed their siege. We marked the siege progress of planet D as there was no other assets from another faction on the planet to oppose. And that takes care of their turn. So we'll move on next to the Larkspur Combine, who is fourth this turn. And they get my lovely celebratory noise as they are going to be upgrading their force from a value of 3 to 4. So if we come over to our asset and XP tables, we can see that taking something up to a 4 costs 6 XP points. And so if we come over here, we can see that the Larkspur Combine has in fact the exact number of XP they needed. So they will drop down to 0 to upgrade their force to 4. This doesn't impact their income, so we will give them their income of 5 faction credits, bringing them up to 31. And then we will process out their action, which is going to be to buy an asset. So let's copy their turn, since I didn't do that yet. And they were going to be buying a strike fleet, which they now have the stats to buy of a force 4 on their homeworld, of Moss. And so that will cost them 12 faction credits. So we'll take their balance of 13 down to, or sorry, of 31 down to 19. And then give them a strike fleet. Where is Larkspur Combine? Right here. We'll insert one above. Larkspur Combine is going to be a strike fleet. And then we'll drag this down, mark it as stealth and as having purchase sickness. And then pull down all of these. And it is on the planet of Moss in the Gropactic system, which is great. So that takes care of their purchase. It has stealth as they are a secretive faction right here. So any assets they purchase comes in with stealth, which we can verify right here. That completes the turn for the Larkspur Combine, and we'll move right along to Ascent. Ascent likewise gets a as requested, a tiny celebration as they too are increasing one of their stats. They are spending 2 experience to increase their force from the value of 1 to 2. So let's go do that for them. This increase does in fact modify their income, so they will now get 5 faction credits, bringing them to a total of 18 credits. They'll then be taking the exploration goal and action. But before so, they will be exploring the ruin on Telos, spending a total of 0 faction credits. So as a brief reminder, ruins can be explored by making a 1d10 plus a faction credit roll. So they'll be doing that on Telos. For a d10, they have rolled a 3, which I believe is unfortunately a failure. Quite unfortunate given the previous luck they've had on these rolls. So the results of a 1d10 equals 3, which is a failure. So they've provided no progress onto the Telos Ruin. Next up, however, they'll be moving smugglers on 1505, along with tripwire cells that are on the same hex to the point of interest at 1405. So let's go check these out. Set theirs? No, that's Concord Mutual Disdains. Here they are, 1505. There we are. There's the right ones. And so this smugglers is going to be moving itself over to 1405 along with the tripwire cells. Smugglers can do so for 1 faction credit, moving into a point of interest cost an additional faction credit, bringing the total cost to 2, bringing their balance down to 16. And let's go move their assets for them. So they've moved, Ascent has moved a tripwire cells and a smuggler off of planet R and have moved into 1405, which is a point of interest. 1405. Great. Next up, they're going to be taking the exploration asset with their smugglers, where they'll be rolling a 1d10 plus 5, given the smugglers is a cunning asset and their cunning bonus is 5. The DC for this point of interest is 10, as it is 1 hex away from an explored hex. Make that roll with a result of a 13 that more than beats a 10, so they have succeeded, meaning that this second roll is what's the shortcut for that? Alt Shift 5. Meaning that this second roll is no longer needed. Result 8 plus 5 equals 13. Success. Let's go see how many planets are in this sector by rolling a d6. We get a 2, which is 1 planet. Where, really? Triple sevens? That's rarer than rolling a single d20. Okay, well, this is we're gonna be having some fun with dice stats, but not by rolling 20s, that is. Okay, well, here is the results on stream visually, and I'll read it out here in just 1 second as I get ready to type it over into the map. So again, this was in the 1405. Yep, here, and the next planet was Planet V. Well, Planet V was discovered by the Ascent, containing the mechanics tag of add 1 faction credit per turn to the planetary governor controller, with an outpost population size and a tech level of TL4. It is a corrosive and invasive planet with a temperate temperature and an immiscible biosphere, providing the planet tags of space magic worship and uh space magic worship. Okay, we're gonna re-roll on the table for planet tags. I will bring the result up in just 1 second, but okay, it is also a tomb world. Quite interesting. And again, the ruin result is a 7, so that is all 3 sevens uh, on the ruin rolls. Quite interesting so far. So here's the roll on the planet tags table, resulting in a tomb world. If you're wondering what Space Magic Worship is, it is just renamed from Psionics Worship to Space Magic Worship. It should probably be the Bleed Worship, as I made this before that was a thing, but yeah, that's what that replacement is for. That takes care of that setup for Ascent for Planet U. Let's Planet V, excuse me. And let's go move the Ascent asset that should be located on planet, or Ascent assets that should be located on Planet V. Right here. Perfect. That finishes up that. For Ascent, that means they have completed their exploration. So since I'm back on this page, let's go ahead and give them their 2 experience, bringing them up to 4, but that doesn't quite finish their turn, as they would like to try to go ahead and roll to establish a research base on their homeworld. It's just a flat d10 roll, as they're not establishing a constellation beforehand, and so they're trying to roll better than an 8. They've only rolled a 7, so unfortunately they were not able to establish a new research base at this time. Quite unfortunate. But that finishes up their turn. We've granted them their experience, so we'll move on to Children of the Vein, who are 6th this turn. They will not be taking a goal, but they will be receiving some faction income, and they will be taking the repair action. So there is a brief note of comment here. The chart here displays 6. However, this income is not currently accounting for the ownership of Hellas, which has the current additional bonus where it is adding 1 faction credit per turn. I have not yet completed fixing the math for resolving the value income correctly from this mech tag table. It exists for individually having the add one faction credit per turn tag, but the logic doesn't yet exist for dealing with having two mechanics tags, as this planet sort of is allowed to break the rules a little bit. Because of that, there was a temporary solution suggested where I would just add a dummy asset that had a upkeep of -1, like the party machines used to work like, but I would rather fix it for the planet map page, and I should have time to make that adjustment. So their income is 7, even though this display is currently only 6, but that brings them up to a balance of 14. Then they're going to be making some repair actions. So the first repair they're going to make is on the pre-tech infantry that is at 6 out of 16 HP on Tellus. And there's also a medical center present on this planet, which is important as the medical center has an impact on this repair action. So we'll take a look here. The medical center asset allows for the salvage and repair of damaged assets. Once between turns, if a special forces or military asset on the world is destroyed, this faction may immediately pay half its purchase cost to restore it with 1 hit point. That condition does not apply at this turn. Any repair asset action taken on the world costs 1 less faction credit for the special forces and military units. So the first repair of a repair action costs 1 faction credit by default. The medical center takes 1 discount away, and so it is 0 for the first repair. 0 for the first repair of this asset. The repair adds a total of 6 HP, as the Children of the Vein's highest stat is 6. This brings the asset's HP up to 12, and so far a cost of 0 faction credits. The second repair costs 2 faction credits, as we discussed from the last faction turn. And the medical center discount still applies, as this is a military unit asset, so the cost is only 1 faction credit. So now we've spent a total of 1. Can't heal the asset over 16, but we'll give them the 4 HP up to the maximum HP. And then finally, the Children of the Vein would like to repair their strike fleet that is on the planet of Moss. The medical center unit is not present on this planet, so its discount does not apply, and the repair action still has scaled up to cost a total of 3 faction credits, bringing this asset up to its full HP of 8 at a cost of 3 faction credits. So in total, for the 3 repair actions, the Children of the Vein have spent 4 faction credits. So let's go ahead and charge them that from their balance, bringing them down to 10. Finally, they'd like to make a movement where they are going to activate the extended theater asset on, where is it? On Moss, excuse me, looking at the wrong planet, right here, to move a pre-tech infantry on Tellus back to Moss. So we're going to move one of these. They're both at 16 HP, and I was told it does not matter which one I move. So we will just move whichever one is on top, as that makes my life easier. This one right here, so Biospell Gospel will be the one to make the move back to the planet of Moss. That cost 1 faction credit for the expense of the extended theater, bringing them down to 9 faction credits. And then finally, they would like to explore the ruins on Tellus as well, which is just a D10 roll, which we will see. As they are not spending any faction credits, they've rolled a 9, which is a critical success, I believe. Let's double check that, just so I'm not wrong. Yes, it is critical success, so would provide +2 progress, except there's only 1 spot left, so they have instead just finished exploring this ruin. Result 9, critical success, ruin, progress, +2. And then we jump back over to the planet map, where we will find Telos and complete the ruin explored. And we will get back to what exactly that mechanically means at the end of the turn. So that wraps up the turn for the Children of the Vein. Let me just double check. Yeah, it does. They did not have a goal this turn, so they get no experience. That's fine. And we'll move on right along to the Starlit Court, who go 7th this turn. Starlit Court are going to be continuing the trend of exploration and taking the Explore action this turn. But let's go give them their income first. So, Starlit Court right here has an income of 3 faction credits, bringing them up to 3. They're then going to be moving the strike fleet from planet M to a point of interest, which will cost them 2, bringing their balance down to 1. So they're going to be moving from a planet way over here, 1604, to 1703. So let's make that movement for them. And then we will go from their strike fleet, and it's going to 1703. Great. That cost them their money. We've taken care of that. Now let's go roll the exploration for them, which is going to be a d10 plus 5 against a difficulty 10 exploration roll, where they have rolled an 11, which is a success. Quite nice. Let's go make a note of that. Results 6 plus 5 equals 11. Success. Where they are going to be revealing, let's see how many planets. Only 1 planet, but that is all right. They are revealing planet W. We have broken the train of rolling a 7 on the ruin to manage to roll a 5. They're going to be reviewing planet W on 1703. That's going to be down towards the bottom of this. Planet W. And this planet has the mechanics tag of the controller of this planet gains +2 to cunning and asset cap and loses 1 from either of the other stats, asset cap. You get to choose which one you lose at the time you seize the planet. It has an outpost population. We found lots of outpost planets this turn, with the tech level 3, providing a thick atmosphere along with a variable cold planet and a missable biosphere, with the tags, of Sealed Menace and Fallen Hegemon. Quite interesting. All right. That is the discovery of planet W for the Starlit Court. So let's relocate their asset onto that planet and go give them the experience for completing the exploration, bringing them up to 4. Again, the asset roll was an unfortunate 5, so no ruin was discovered. There's the planet roll for anybody who needs to see it in the bottom right-hand corner. That wraps up the Starlit Court's turn, and we'll move right along to the Concord of Mutual Disdain, who are exploring, much like most of our factions that are left. Let's go give them their income, and actually let me fix this typo. They should only be making 3. For the Starlit Court, Concord and Mutual Disdain will make 4 before they take the exploration action. So Concord and Mutual Disdain is up to 16. Now they already have assets on a point of interest right here in 510 with the Lobbyist and the Smugglers. So they'd like to start their roll by rolling the Smugglers, which is a cunning asset, gives them a +2 on this roll. And the difficulty is 10, as they're only 1 planet away from an explored hex. So a 1d10 +2 roll for them against a difficulty 10 is only a 6, so they have not succeeded, unfortunately. Result 4 plus 2 equals 6. They have chosen not to succeed at cost with this asset, and instead we'll try again with the Lobbyist, which is the exact same roll. which has not gone any better for them, unfortunately, resulting in the roll of a 4. Dice roll of 2 plus 2 is 4. So they will be choosing to take the damage to succeed, which in this case will be 1d4 damage. So let's go ahead and roll that die. And they've taken really bad dice rolls, unfortunately for them. They've taken the maximum damage of 4. So let's say their result is a 2 plus 2, which is equal to a 4. Failure. Succeed takes 4 damage. So let's go mark the damage on the lobbyist before I forget for Concord and Mutual Disdain. Unfortunately, the lobbyist only has 3 HP left, so it has perished in this exploration attempt. How unfortunate. Well, we will take care of getting that off the board. We'll delete this row, and I'll take care of removing their previous asset that had purchase sickness, as that's no longer true. Okay, that takes care of the lobbyist asset, which has lost. And let's go see how many planets they have discovered, though, in the system, as they may have lost the asset, but the exploration is successful. They've discovered 1 planet, which is a pretty nice planet, and still only has a ruin roll of 14. So the next planet is Planet X, and this was in the 1510 system. On the planet map, 1510 right here, Planet X. It has a mechanics tag of the controller of this planet automatically gains +2 to their wealth asset cap and loses 1 from one of the other 2 assets. It is uncolonized in any form, but it is TL4 and has a corrosive atmosphere with a cold temperature and a missile biosphere, providing the planet tags of Ritual Combat and Soul Supplier. Quite unfortunate for their dice roll luck, but at least they did discover a planet. They've discovered Planet X, and we will go relocate the smugglers onto that planet. And then we will go award them their 2 experience for completing the exploration, bringing them up to 7 experience total. Again, if you missed the dice roll for the planet, here it is right over on the side. They do have one final step that I need to do regarding some map maintenance. They are going to be renaming the system of LIX, where they control the planet of Yakia, or Yaika, something like that. I apologize, I'm totally butchering the pronunciation, but it is Yaika, I believe, from when I looked it up, how I should pronounce all the the vowel sounds there. Apologies if my pronunciation is wrong, though. But the system is being renamed to the Voltum Verta system, which is only slightly easier to say. But regardless, fun to see system names and planet names filling in the map as planets are seized. Last but not least, we finish up our turn with the Amelhart Institute, who have an exploration goal and action as well. It's been pretty common, and I appreciate the fact that the income goes 3, 4, 5 in the last 3 factions for this turn, which is pretty fun. So let's go award the Amelhart Institute their 5 faction credits, bringing them up to 25. Then they already have an asset on a system that is a point of interest. They have this commodities broker that they will be exploring. This is their first difficulty that is greater than 10 in today's roll. This difficulty is 12. It is 2 hexes away. And the commodities broker on the Amelhart Institute is a cunning asset, so the roll is with a +6. So we're going to roll a d10 +6, hoping for better than a 12, which a 13 is. Let's see how many planets they discover, and they've only discovered 1 planet. But before we take care of moving that over, Let me see here. That is in planet 615 right here. Great. Let's make the planet roll for them, which is a 15 on the ruin. So unfortunately, no ruin discovered in today's stream. But they have uncovered planet Y. Planet Y, with a mech tag of logistic assets built in this world, cost 1 less, with a population of millions. Yes, it's fine that I'm editing this, thanks sheet. With a TL of 1 and an atmosphere that is airless or thin, containing a variable cold temperature and a miscible biosphere. It has the planet tags of bubble cities and space magic worship. This can wrap time. Sweet. Whoops, that was not what I was trying to do. That introduces Planet Y, and we will go relocate the Amelhart Institute asset that now needs to be placed on that planet, and mark the success here. So this was a result of a 7 plus 6, which is 13, and a success. With that success, the Amelhart Institute have gained 2 experience, bringing them up to 6 in total. And right before we finish up here, if you missed the last planet roll, there it was in the Roll20 system. Oh, I said cunning, but meant wealth. Yes, apologies. I used the right numbers, but said the wrong word. Thank you for catching that. Okay. I need a moment to catch my breath, and I'm going to take a drink of water before I continue. Okay. That wraps up all of the factions' turns for this month. Thank you again, everyone, for submitting them and getting them into me so they could be processed. We have 2 other things to take care of before announcements. One of which requires me to pull up an admin document that I do not have open, and so that I don't accidentally share something I don't mean to, let me switch my screen share to not being the Chrome tab, so that I can find my notes on the ruin that has been discovered. I think it's on this document. Do 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 do. The mechanics details are not on that document. Uh, uh, where did I hide it? I have an idea of what I know it should be, but I want to make sure I read it correct. If I can't find it here quickly, I will just relegate this to a post in Discord rather than 5 minutes of me searching through the documents to find my exact thing. I should have had this prepped, but I did not think about it. So I do not have it. Okay, I can't find it quickly, so rather than continuing to search through the Google Drive collection of files, I will just move on. The mechanic details for the ruin that has been discovered on on Tellus will be just posted in the Discord, and I will take care of that way. That sounds better than me trying to find the exact wording I had written down on the admin doc. So the mechanic details will be announced very shortly after the stream ends, along with the updates regarding the previous TTGI vote. It'll be in that series of posts that gets made after the end of every faction turn stream. So you'll get that information there. It will come into effect next turn. That's why mechanically it's important at the to make sure it gets announced today rather than waiting for the lore bits to catch up. I still will be providing a lore blurb to the Children of the Vein, so that they can talk about what they have discovered, um, and continue to create some fun articles about it. But I do want to get those mechanical results released, and so you'll be getting them very shortly after the stream once I find them and verify that it is actually the copy I intend to release. So, with that said, that's sort of the first remaining mechanical thing to cover. The second is related to the TTGI, as there's a new vote option out. The chair this month was the Agomala Syndicate, who have chosen to present the option that was entitled to them TT Directorate Eyes or Directorship Eyes Only Special Opportunity Report. The comet Stravocaro is on a reported collision course with Tellus, potential immediate risk to Tellus terraforming operations. Stravocaro is due to impact in several months, and the TTGI board must advise on action before it is too late to act. Spectromic scans identify that this comet is rich in valuable resources for completion of the terraforming effort, but its impact on the planet will have unknown effects on the Telesian biosphere and may set back or undo previous TCGI efforts. Two options are presented to the board for consideration. Option 1. Divert the comet. An unknown change will occur following the terraforming clock reaching phase 8, but you try to divert the comet from the planet of Tellus. Option 2 is direct the comet to an ideal impact site on Tellus, where also an unknown change will occur following the terraforming clock reaching phase 8. So this is slightly a unique vote, as the exact outcome of the choice isn't known until a second condition reaches. But do know that making a choice here does have an impact, and the two are not the same. I have them written down, but it's sort of it seems like people would potentially game this too much if we provided the outcome, and you wouldn't know fictionally. You wouldn't be able to project the thing. So the exact change. So in that regards, we wanted to leave it this way, where the unknown change stays as it is here. I do know what they are, so don't worry. This isn't just me pushing off the work for several months. Um, it Yeah, this was developed beforehand, and there are ideas already written down for what the outcomes of these are. So and then either option does need to get 50% support to be chosen, so that rule stays the same as all other votes that we've had so far. So again, this post will be made into a Discord text form. So again, you don't have to find the 2 minutes of me talking to camera about this information to remember it and be able to provide which option you're voting on. So with that, I think that wraps up all of the sort of mechanical updates, and now it's just time for unrestricted loadfarer announcements. So the important dates I think that are useful to announce at this point in time is the lore stream 8 has a deadline set. It will be taking place on April 17th at 4 p.m. EDT. Submission deadline is 2 days before that on April 15th, so please try to get in any content for that by that time so we can have time to prep the layout and flow of the lore stream. And then Faction Turn 8 will be taking place on May 8th rather than May 1st. So we'll have a a full 4 weeks before the next faction turn rather than 3. So be aware that it isn't the first weekend of May where the faction turn takes place. It will be taking place on May 8th. So that means the submission deadlines are on May 6th for your turns and May 5th for trade lock. And that stream will be continuing to be at our time of 1 p.m. Eastern. And then an update from the project we announced at the last lore stream regarding free agents. It's still in work. We're still working on it. We're finalizing getting together all of the details regarding the system that's going to be used, expectations during play, and how you're going to what will be expected from people to show up to the system, to the setting, or excuse me, to the sessions with. How long we're expecting sessions to be, when we're going to try to how we're going to collect people's availability so that we can reach out and try to put groups together for these one shots, and then making sure that all of the systems are in place for player safety as well. We wanted to make sure that we have that all in place. It seemed better to make sure that everything that we've attempted to try to take care of everything before we make that information public and put it out there and start having people fill out forms. Then we discover that, oh, we missed something that we needed to either have at the time or provide information up at the start. And it seems easier is we'd rather take the time to make sure we try to do it right than rush into it and make some mistake in rolling that out. So that should be coming up shortly in that regard. Hopefully it comes out before the next lure stream, but again, we'd rather take the time to do it right than rush and mess something up regarding rolling that out. So it hasn't been forgotten. We just wanted to make sure that update was provided to people. So I think that said, that wraps up all of the announcements I had regarding the stream today. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Unrestricted Lore Fair's Beacon Space. This has been a fantastic Faction Turn 7. I really hope you're enjoying the Faction Turn streams and participating. Again, if you want to join this, if this sounds interesting to you and you want to find out more about the different factions or what's going on, you can join the Discord, !Discord in the chat will bring up a link. And if you want to check out any of the lore about these factions, there is a link to the wiki as well with, I believe, !Beacon Space. So again, thanks everyone for tuning out. I'm going to leave you with some fun tunes to end the stream. And yeah, thanks for coming out and having fun with us today rolling some dice.